This is a recording from the Digital Main Street launch event on Monday, June the 13th, 2016. It was hosted by the City of Toronto. John Kiru, Executive Director of Tabia, introduces the Mayor of Toronto, His Honourable John Tory.
We then have a fireside chat with leaders from our founding partner companies and a panel discussion with Main Street businesses. To end off the morning, we've brought together an interesting variety of technologies relevant to Main Street businesses that you can demo. That will be taking place right where breakfast was served, so as we go through the transition, they will be setting up their demo up in the North Lounge. I know that you're keen to learn more about Digital Main Street, so let's get started. Before I ask His Worship to come out, there are a couple of people that I do want to acknowledge, though, without whom you've probably seen Nirvana Champion running around. Nirvana, really, without your help, you have been managing the Digital Main Street program. I'd like to thank you on behalf of all the BIAs for your efforts. Pull the program together. Larissa from Kinetic Cafe. Larissa, I saw you here earlier. Thank you for all the effort you guys have done, not only at Kinetic Cafe, but yourself for reaching out, meeting with a number of the BIAs, and really running the beta that we've done in West Speed West to give us a better understanding of where our shortcomings were in the program as we move forward. So thank you, and Kinetic Cafe, for their efforts. Without any further ado, please put your hands together and help me welcome His Worship, Mayor John Tory.
Well, John, thank you, and good morning, everybody. I hope you all had a good weekend. And I hope that you had a sense of the humanity of our city on display in the response that we saw last night. Certainly, it's one of the privileges that you have in the job that I have to be able to be at something like the vigil that was held last night in honor of and in solidarity with the LGBTQ community in Orlando, because you come to realize that the humanity of any city, of our city, the ability that we have to continue to demonstrate that day after day, and not just through words, but through our actions are important. It was interesting because the media asked me last night about whether I was aware that the Orlando media had taken note of how much reaction there had been from Toronto specifically on the social media and so on, more so than perhaps any other place in the world. And I said to them, without being placed in by my work, at that, because that's the way we try to live here. We're not perfect, we're on the way. And I mention all of this in the context of the kind of formula that we're going to have to put together in the forefront going forward. I'm one of those, I'm a free enterpriser. I came from a background in business with Rogers and on corporate boards and whatnot. And I understand it as you do, because many of you in this room are business people, and you understand that only out of the creation of wealth and people actually making money and creating jobs and so on are we going to have the resources necessary to keep the city livable. So there's a direct connection between the ability to make money and for businesses to be successful here in the 21st century, and our ability to make sure the city remains livable. And so I'm very focused on that, because I want people to have careers. I want people to think they can live their lives here in any kind of business, including lots that depend on technologies not even contemplated or invented yet. I want this to be seen as a home of people who are risk takers and champions and disruptors, because I think that's going to be important going forward in the 21st century economy. And I think it will allow us to have the resources necessary and attract the kind of people who are going to be committed to a livable city, which I think also is going to be very important to us, obviously, going forward. I mean, there's only one direction you have to go, and sometimes it's bad to be at the top of these lists about livability or anything else, because when you're at the top, there's only one direction to go if you don't work hard to stay on top, and that's down. And I have no intention of presiding over that. I don't think you do either. In some respects, it's what the whole Uber discussion, where it was portrayed in various kind of harsh, polarizing ways, wasn't really about one industry versus another, or one company versus another. It was about the approach we take in a city that wants itself to be seen as on the leading technologies, it's embracing of choice for people going forward. And so I think this program today is a big part of all of that. If you look at the basis upon which people are going to choose to spend their careers and their lives in Toronto, the basis upon which people will make investments in Toronto from elsewhere, or just the basis upon which we're going to be able to have our businesses, especially our small businesses, continue to succeed and be themselves successful at the leading edge. A lot of this is going to have to do with our ability to showcase ourselves. And it isn't just about showmanship either, but to showcase ourselves and in fact be running those businesses on the basis of being seen as the leading embracers of all of the latest technologies, both because it'll be good for business, it'll lead to sales and profits and more jobs and more investment, but also on the basis of the kind of impression it's created about Toronto and about how we do business here. And so this whole project to me is something that is, it is great in that regard. It will make a big contribution to that. And it is a terrific example of a private-public partnership. Because here you have the city that's actually sort of initiating and leading on this, and I want to thank our public servants who, oftentimes public servants and politicians, and I won't defend politicians because I am one now, and that's just you are what you are. But I'm trying to do it in a respectful and respectable sort of way. But public servants get maligned a lot, for sort of being people who, don't work a full day, or you know all the stuff that's written about them and said about them. But these are the kinds of programs that they work hard to put together and then work in partnership with business. And they're things that can lead to a lot of good for business and a lot of new jobs and a lot of preserved jobs and a lot of success for business. And in this case, our public service staff have been joined, as John said, by some fabulous, private sector partners. I just want to mention their names again because I can mention them in the context of saying thank you. And I'll mention as one of those private sector partners the BIA Association itself, because it's a private partnership, but it's really a private sector organization that consists of business people getting together and deciding what's in their common interest. And I so love the role of the BIAs. I've come to have a better and better understanding of it as I've been slightly longer in this office, and it is a vital organization in terms of the success of business in Toronto. But then if you add to that the Googles and the Yellow Pages and the MasterCards and the Rogers and the Shopifys and the Kinetic Cafes, you have a powerhouse team that is going to put this program on the map and make it something that is successful. And then the other thing that, of course, is added to it is something that I would have identified as a 62-year-old grandfather, and that is the Geek Squad that's going to come from George Brown College. Because I was saying to John and others before I came up here that when I sit at my computer, and I often will be writing speeches or different things that I'm doing on my own laptop, and of course the minute it freezes I go into a complete, light your hair on fire kind of meltdown. And there's no reason for it, because at the end of the day, I will phone one. What do I do when that happens? Well, there's no point in my trying to fix it myself, because what I will succeed in doing by kind of pushing different keys, many push it, maybe that will resolve it. I phone one of my kids. And my kids just say, Dad, all you have to do is do this, do this, do this, and they give me 3 steps, and lo and behold, 45 seconds later, the speech is back on the screen. But to have a Geek Squad, and again, when you call it Geek Squad, you're sort of implying the people who help are geeks, and I don't think my kids are geeks, they're not actually, but it's just people who are very comfortable with the technology, and that's one of the main obstacles we have to get over. In kind of taking business, small business especially, into the 21st century. I mean, I worked at Rogers, and I'm so pleased that Rogers is a part of this enterprise here. But, we had entire departments of people who, if something happened like this, whether it was a frustration that was small or big, you could call them and come and help you fix it. But when you're in a small business, I certainly understand the fact that the sales vice president is the owner, who is also the IT person, who's also the marketing person, who's also the person that cleans up the store at the end of the day, who's also the person that keeps the books, who's also the person that that deals with all the employees. So there's sort of 1 or 2 people oftentimes that are doing all of this, and so you need to have that reassurance that there is someone to call. And I suppose each and every one of you could call your kids too, but they'll probably get bored with that after a period of time because they have their own lives to live. And so I'm just delighted that George Brown is going to partner with us on this to make that sort of degree of extra comfort available to the people who are going to be doing this. But the only thing I want to say by way of just a concluding message, and we have our lessons to learn and our progress to make at the City Hall too. I would say the Toronto City Hall is 2 generations behind the private sector, large parts of the private sector, in the adoption of technology to make processes work better, to be more efficient, and frankly to provide better customer service to people. And we're trying to catch up on that now. Syria Grell from my team was here this morning. She's working very hard at this. We're doing a bunch of things, but one of the things she's heading up is an exercise, and there's probably some people in this room who are actually old enough to have kids that sign up for the rec programs, or you might be signing up for them yourselves. It's absolutely prehistoric, the sign-up system. It's prehistoric. And yes, it uses computers, but you have to go online at 4 o'clock in the morning. People have 2 or 3 computers lined up in their house. Some people go and line up at 2 o'clock in the morning. They keep track of the waiting lists on clipboards. I mean, you'd say to yourself, well, this is great for 1946. So we're fixing those things one at a time. But we have to do the same in business. We have to do, when I say we, I say we because we're in a partnership of making the city successful overall. And sometimes it takes a leap of faith. You don't necessarily want to sort of change it from the way things have been done before, and you know those things and you're comfortable with those things. But we've got to make the move to embrace these technologies for both the reasons I mentioned at the outset, because it's going to make business better and more successful and more durable and create more jobs and create more sales and more successes. I ran into a man who's a friend of a friend just this morning, and he was telling me about helping small businesses sell gift cards online, because when I go into my local drugstore, which is right at the bottom of the condo area, they only sell the big chain, gift cards. So you're going to buy one of those. So how do some of the small businesses in this room sell? Well, he's got an app that's dealing with that. And on it goes. There's 1,000 examples right in this room. And I'm just encouraging you through this program, and that's what it's all about, is to help you to adopt this comfortably, to give you some help in adopting it, to make sure that we can say to people when they come here, yes, this is a city that is humane. And it's humane because we have successful business here that through their wealth creation support the maintenance of the humanity and the livability for the city that is tops in the world, and that we together are doing some things to get over our fears and our hesitations and the difficulty in choosing which technologies and which applications we adopt going forward. But it doesn't pose the question, should we or shouldn't we? The answer is yes, we must. And so this is a program that's meant to help people over that hurdle that sometimes scares people. So I just want to say thank you to all involved again, the city staff, the people from the different private sector sponsors, George Brown College and the BIAs, and all of you, because just to see this turnout here this morning is a tremendous encouragement to me that people are not saying what would be easy to say. I'm too busy, I've got to stay at work today and just run the shop and I don't have time for any of this. You're coming out. Some of you probably enthusiastically already well into this, and some sort of saying, gee, I've been hesitating about getting into it. This is a necessary step forward for the city. And this is a necessary step forward for your business. If we do this right, and if we do this together, the result will be more jobs, more sales, more profits, more success, and a city that is seen as a city that heartily embraces change, and that heartily embraces choice, and that heartily embraces innovation. And that is going to be a huge thing for us going forward in terms of our ability to make sure the best and the brightest choose Toronto when they're looking for a place to come and invest. And you know that's good for all of us. So John, again, thank you to you, and thank you to all the people who are doing this talking today, and I hope the rest of your morning goes well as you learn more about digital Main Street and how it's going to make Toronto better. Thanks very much.